Anybody out there? 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 All right. Looks like I'm on. So who's out there? We got 3 people with us. This is my first time doing a live stream. Oh, here we are. Here we are. Now I'm getting it figured out. So we got Hobby Pipes. What's going on? We've got Jason. Oh man, I gotta turn my sound off because that's confusing me. Oh, thank you. It's my Caterpillar hoodie. Father-in-law works for Caterpillar. So it's Friday night. Just enjoying a Christoph San Andres. And I'm using a really old laptop to do this, so I apologize if the video is grainy. Oh, Sala's here. How you doing? Yeah, I thought I'd give this live stream thing a try. I don't know why. I don't know. I was bored tonight. Thought it might be a good idea. Got some tomatin, 18 year. And like I said, my Christoph San Andres, which is burning a little faster than I thought it would. I lit this just as I was, getting stuff going on. Welcome, Tyler. Good to see you. End of the week. And, I thought I would check in. I feel like I thought I had some things to talk about. I don't know. We'll figure it out. The whiskey's nice. Hey, Joseph, welcome. I had, while my daughter was in the bathtub, I wanted dessert. So I grabbed some, don't have a lot of dessert in the house, but I went through the pantry and I had a bar of this Trader Joe's chocolate coffee caramel stuff. Like a chocolate bar with caramel in the middle and like with coffee grounds through it. I ate like 3 or 4 pieces of that and got me highly caffeinated. So it's like I need a scotch and a cigar because I'm highly caffeinated right now and I don't want to be up all night. Trace Cook. He smoked a fast-burning Cohiba. Yeah. Sometimes they burn quickly. Sometimes they don't. I've actually never had a Cohiba. Not a Cuban Cohiba. I've had Cohiba Red Dots. But never actually had a Cuban Cohiba. I just can't get myself to spend the money. I think if I were in the right place, if I were in Havana or somewhere close to a Casa del Habanos and I felt like I could get a real Cohiba, somewhere on the beach or somewhere nice, I would probably drop the money then. But it's a lot of money on a cigar, man. Those Cohibas, especially the Bahique, it's just ridiculous. I have a hard time believing that any cigar is worth that price. But yeah, the most expensive cigar I've ever smoked was a Padron 80 year. Smoked a couple of those. Those are like 32 bucks a piece, and those are fantastic. I'm not going to say they're necessarily worth the money because they are just a cigar, but they do burn about twice as long. So if you think of it as spending, two $16 cigars, yeah, you might be able to rationalize it. Like I said, I've only smoked two, bought two. At some point, I'll probably buy another one, when the mood strikes. But that's a lot of money to spend on a cigar. For $100, you can usually get a pretty good box. So, but this Christoph is very nice. I like these Christophs. They have a nice pigtail cap, and they've got the shaggy foot. Show you my lighter for this evening. Got the lime green Bic. I actually have two Zycar lighters. I have an Executive 2 and an XTX tabletop. And I'm telling you, Zycar, their customer service is so good, but their quality is just going way downhill. I've replaced both of those lighters at least 3 times. This last time I replaced them, the Executive 2 lasted maybe a month before it broke. It won't hold gas. I fill it, with butane, and it just immediately leaks right out. And then the XTX the jets aren't dirty. It just won't hold a flame. It just sputters. It's annoying. It's a big pain. Crosby's Corner. Hey, gang. I have one Cohiba Cuban, still haven't smoked yet. Opened my humidor just often enough to look at it. It's really smelling good. I bet it is. Crosby's Corner. Is that like Pittsburgh? Is that like a Penguins thing? Yeah. But not a whole lot going on here. Like I said, I do need to take those Zycar lighters in though. That's I hate sending them back. It's annoying, I guess I can go to a brick and mortar that's a Zycar retailer, and I think they'll mail them. They'll either replace them or mail them. Last time with the Executive 2, they were going to replace it, but with the Executive 2, I think was discontinued. So they were going to replace it with something comparable, which was not comparable, and I didn't like it, so I sent my Executive back to Zycar. Jason loves the Christoph Cameroon. He's currently smoking a cheap La Finca Toro and some Four Roses Old Fashioned. Nothing wrong with Four Roses. I'm not really a bourbon guy, but that one's all right. When I started drinking whiskey, it was with bourbon, and it was when I was in college. I'd probably just turned 21, and I felt like, men drink whiskey, and men drink whiskey neat. You grow up watching, John Wayne, and Clint Eastwood, and men drink whiskey. So I wanted to learn to drink whiskey, and I wanted to, I wanted to know about it. I wanted to be, smart and worldly, and which I was very poor. So the whiskey I drank was Jim Beam, and for years I tried to drink Jim Beam and pretended like I liked it. Eventually I did develop a taste for it. I still don't like Jack Daniels, but I did develop a taste for Jim Beam. But I didn't truly learn to love whiskey until I was out of college and could afford a little bit more. And not that I was drinking extravagant whiskey when I got into it, but I started drinking Jameson, Irish whiskey. And when I got into Irish whiskey, that's where I could really not just, I could drink Jim Beam, but I didn't really enjoy it. I wouldn't be sitting around thinking, it's been a good day, it's a nice afternoon, let's pour a glass of Jim Beam. It was more like, well, it's nighttime, it's evening, it's time to drink whiskey. And so I learned to palate Jim Beam and kind of appreciate it, but it wasn't something that really brought me joy. So it wasn't until I started drinking Irish whiskey that I kind of found joy in whiskey. I think it's okay to find joy in whiskey. Not too much, obviously. You don't want to be joyful through a whole bottle in an evening. But I think to have a dram or two and take your time with it. I don't know if you can see in the video. This has got a really, really nice Scotch mist going on. This tomatin, it's not chill filtered. I put a dash of spring water in there. clouds right up. It's got all those nice oils. Crosby's Corner hasn't had a Christophe Cameroon yet, but he really enjoys the Liga number 9. But it's kind of hard to get. Yeah, depending on where you're at, those Ligas can be tough. I think the last Liga I had was an L40. I do like the L40. That's hard to find, although they're getting a little easier. I don't know. It depends on what B&M you're at. I'm trying to think the Ligas I've had. I had the Dirty Rat. I've had the number 9. I've had lots of 9s. I mean, the ones that I can pretty much always find are the 9 and the T52. Those are pretty much always available in Tucson at the B&Ms that I go to. The more rare ones are like the UF13. I've had one of those. Dirty Rat, Velvet Rat I've had. I think I've had the Velvet Rat. Don't hold me to that. I might not have had the Velvet Rat. I know I've had the Dirty Rat. L40. Oh, Phil just got a box of the UF13s. Way to go, Phil. Yeah, I only had one UF13. I think I reviewed the UF13 actually. Like most of the Ligas, I mean they're good. There's nothing wrong at all with anything from Drew Estate and the Liga lines. Even after the buyout, it's Drew Estate still. I mean the cigars that are there are still good. The Liga stuff's still good. The Undercrown stuff's still good. And even on occasion, I'll smoke one of the Javas. I don't mind. Not too good for that. I usually keep Javas on hand because they're good to have around for guests. Guys that don't really smoke but would like to. Java's a good first cigar for a lot of people. All right. Let's see. Jason says Christophe Cameroon runs $16 a pop. Wow. Wow. That's a lot of money. Phil says Javas are good morning smoke. I agree. Good with coffee. Actually, I take that back. I don't think I've ever had a Java in the morning with coffee. Usually when it comes to pairing cigars for me, I generally don't pair like flavors. So if it's a coffee, flavored cigar, I don't know if I would pair that with, I'm trying to think how I would pair the Java. A few years ago, I think I did a video of it. I think I called it a Christmas dessert. I smoked a Java, and I paired it with Frangelico, which is a hazelnut liqueur if you're not familiar. So it's really low alcohol. It's very, very sweet. So a Java, which is coffee flavored, with some Frangelico, which is sweet and hazelnutty. That was really nice. I think I posted a video on that. I think I called it a Christmas dessert pairing. It was right around Christmas time. I probably had some lights up back here. But that was a good pairing. Creamy smokes like the Epicure number 2 or a Shade Grown. Undercrown Shade. I haven't had the Undercrown Shade yet. I have had the Epicure number 2 and the Epicure Especial, both very good cigars. I had a box of the Epicure Especials and about half of them burned like hell, which was kind of annoying. Yeah, that's what you get sometimes with Cuban cigars, unfortunately. So I'm glad I'm not the only guy just hanging out on Friday night, sitting at my laptop. I don't know if you guys are on your phones or on your laptops, but sitting around having a cigar by myself. My wife's at work. My daughter's sleeping. It's about the only time that I get to myself. A few weeks ago, what was going on? I don't know. My wife picked my daughter up from school, which normally I pick her up from school, but my wife picked her up. And they were out in town running around, and I came home, and the house was empty. And I had the house to myself for about 45 minutes. And they came home. And I think I was reading a book or something, and I came home, or my wife came home. We were talking about it. I'm like, man, this is the first time I've been in the house by myself in months. I don't get a lot of alone time. It's basically work or home, and then you know, either the little one's sleeping and I'm here, or my wife is here. So that's kind of what I do. My life, I don't want to fall into the whole social media thing as far as trying to pretend like my life is just magnificent and a thrill a minute. I have no complaints. I have a very good life. I really do. I have plenty of fun. Um, I get to travel a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I like my job. I love my family, and got a got a house that I like. Got my pool in the backyard, and that's about good enough for me. A lot of my hobby. My daughter's about 5. A lot of my hobbies went by the wayside when she was born, so I don't play a lot of guitar anymore. Oh, I still play some. Been teaching her how to play the harmonica. She's been having a lot of fun playing harmonica while I play guitar, and it's really fun because she's getting good at it. If you're not familiar with harmonicas, they're in different keys. So if I give her like a harmonica in the key of G, I can just kind of mess around with like E minor, C, D, G kind of thing, and she can just play over top of it. And because the harmonica is in a specific key, as long as I play in the same key, she can't hit a wrong note, and that's a lot of fun. And so it's really fun to see her, kind of get into the harmonica and really start playing loud and kind of moving around. And if you've never seen a kid do that, it's a lot of fun. Happy Friday, Bald Rob. Good to see you. Um, but I used to play golf. I have some guns. I used to shoot. I still shoot now and then, but very rarely. I live around. I'm surrounded by public land, so I can go and shoot within a half mile from here. There's some washes that have nice dirt banks, and so I can go out and safely and legally shoot. Within a half mile from my house. So that's kind of nice. But I still never go. The other night, my wife and I were out in Vail, Arizona, which is right near where I live in Tucson, and we were out as a family. We had dinner, and we went to a Dairy Queen. It's kind of like a little plaza thing. There's Dairy Queen walking distance from where we had dinner at the Arizona Pizza Company, and we were sitting outside having ice cream. And there's a gun store. What's it called? Something. I think Trail Boss. I think Trail Boss is the name, and it's a gun store. And my wife said, "Oh, you're gonna go in the gun store?" And at first I said no. I'm like, "Yeah, no. Yeah, I guess I'll go." And she said, "Oh, geez, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that." But every time I step into a gun store, yeah, there's stuff that I want. But I always just ask myself the question of when is the last time I've been shooting? And it's kind of hard to justify buying a new gun when you haven't shot the ones you have in a year. So I'm not a prepper, but I also do. I see myself. I don't know why, but I see myself stockpiling ammunition. Not really for like the end of the world, but it's just like if I see ammo, I just buy it because I know I'll shoot it. It's kind of like the reason that I've got so many cigars. I probably buy more cigars than I smoke because I know eventually I'm going to burn them all. And the same thing with all the ammo that I have. Eventually, I'll shoot through it. It's stored properly, so it'll last forever. I'm not really worried about it. But I have a few thousand rounds of 22. I have a few thousand rounds of 9mm. I have lots of shotgun shells. Definitely more shotgun shells than I need. And it's funny, and I buy stupid stuff that I don't normally shoot, like with my shotgun shells. I have probably 100 3-inch Magnum slugs, which I never shoot. When I used to shoot, I used to save milk jugs, and when they were done drinking milk, just save the jug, and I'd fill them up with water and take them out to the desert and blow them up because it's fun to watch that explode. And when people come visit, you want to go shoot because that's just like with cigars. A lot of people don't have guns, so it's nice when people come to visit. I've never shot a gun. Well, let's go. So it's fun to do that. Plus, get people to crack them on the shoulder with a 3-inch mag slug. Especially, I've got this whole. Here's a funny gun story. I don't know if there's any gun people out there, but I've got half a dozen guns, and I'm not really a gun guy, but I have some guns. But when my grandfather died and my grandmother was moving out of their house, she was downsizing, moving into an apartment, and they're cleaning stuff out. I was going down there to help her. She lived down in Douglas, Arizona, right along the border. And was helping her move in my truck, and she said, do you want Grandpa's gun? I said, I didn't even know Grandpa had a gun, but sure, I'll take a look at it. Yeah, well, he bought it when we moved out here because he lived kind of out in the desert. He bought it when we moved out here, for home defense. I said, oh, okay. She said, I think it's a shotgun. Okay. Or is it? I'll go get it. She was kind of afraid of it. She didn't really want to pick it up, and I understand that. People who don't know guns, that's actually a pretty smart move. If you don't know firearms and you see one, don't touch it. That way you'll avoid accidents. But so she led me back to their closet. It was in the back of their closet was a Savage single shot 12 gauge that was badly used. He must have gotten it at a pawn shop. He couldn't have paid, if he paid more than $40 for this shotgun, he got ripped off, because it was weathered. And if you're not a gun person, a single shot 12 gauge, that's not a great home defense weapon. But let's see. Jason lives on 5 acres in Tennessee. Oh, I'm jealous of you, Jason. I always tell my wife, and she knows this, that, one day my dream house, I would like to have something like that, Jason. I say, my criteria eventually to settle into, I want a house where I can piss and shoot off the back porch without bothering my neighbors. That's really what I want. Or piss off the front porch, I suppose. I think I would like that someday. So good for you. Crosby hasn't picked up a gun in 4 years. No time like the present, if you're into it. But Jason's a gun person. Way to go, Jason. Nothing wrong with gun people. Well, that's a pretty blanket statement. I'm not going to say that. There's nothing wrong with enjoying your guns. Some gun people get under my skin, but I don't live for my guns, but I do like to shoot. I keep toying with the idea of getting that's what I was actually looking at when I was at the gun store in Vail. I keep toying with the idea of a high power, high caliber, long range hunting rifle. Something that can really reach out. That's what when we were at the gun store in Vail, I was looking at a 300 Win Mag bolt action, nice bolt action 300 Win Mag, because around here we live in the desert, and if you Google, there's different associations that you can go on Saturdays, and they do thousand yard competitions and stuff like that. And my wife would be supportive of that. If I said, hey, I want to start shooting long range, I want to do whatever, she would be fine with it, and she probably wouldn't even complain too much if I bought a nice high powered rifle. But there's no way I could practice enough to reach anything that far. Now you see these guys out here with these rifles, especially like elk hunting up in Flagstaff, taking 400-yard shots. I would have to spend so much time at the range before I felt comfortable, squeezing the trigger at 400 yards on an animal. The last thing I want to do is injure an animal. For one, because it's inhumane. I don't want to injure an animal. I want to knock it down and have it stay down. But the other thing is, I don't want to track an elk through the mountains in northern Arizona and then have to quarter it and carry it out. So I don't do that. Tyler has a 10 gauge turkey gun. Alright. All my other guns were lost in a canoeing accident. How did why did you have all your guns in a canoe? That should be is that a parable? Don't put all your guns in one canoe. I could see losing a gun in a canoe. I could see losing a shotgun in a canoe if you're out, duck hunting or something. If you've got some kind of blind set up, you're sitting on the water, or maybe if you're out canoeing and you've got, a pistol on your hip and your canoe tips and it comes off in the water. But to lose a canoe full of guns. Tyler has a 6.5 Creedmoor. Well, we have 11 people on here. I'm pretty impressed at that. 11 people. 12 people now. Wow. 770 308. Great bolt action. Bore-sighted Leopold. So, if it's only bore-sighted, you haven't taken it out to the range yet? You got to get that thing out there, man. Yeah, you know, that's 308's the other one that I look at. You know, I look at. All right, Crosby, have a good one. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it, man. You know, I looked at. I'm always thinking about, you know, oh, 308, because I also, you know, I've thought about, you know, like an AR-10. So I look at 308s. I look at 300 Win Mags. What else have I looked at? I don't know. I mean, I've been silly and looked at like a 338 Lapua, but that's starting to just get weird at that point. It's a good cigar. This Christoph San Andres. You know, if you've been watching, I've been kind of plugging Holtz.com. You know, they don't give me anything, but you know, I like the website. You know, I've emailed their customer service a couple times, and they're pretty responsive. But I think I got these Christophs as an add-on when I bought some boxes lately, and I got a 5-pack of these Christophs. So it was like the San Andres, the Maduro, the double Lajero? I don't know. There was 5. I think there's a Corojo, and it was $15 for 5. So that's a pretty good sampler for $15. So this is a $3 cigar, and it's burning nicely. You see, no touch-ups. It's pairing perfectly with the tomatin. Brings out some of the fruity sherry notes in the tomatin. A few years ago, San Andres was that was like the hot wrapper for a while. I don't know if it still is. You know, I don't follow quite as much of the cigar stuff as I used to. Maybe that's because I'm, you know, haven't been as active on the YouTube channel. But, you know, following the industry has just been kind of low on my priority list. And so, I really don't know. And I've been trying to smoke what I have. It's interesting, you know, as I get further and further along on my cigar journey, I find myself less concerned with what's new. And it's funny. The way I smoke cigars now is kind of like how I watch movies. I don't really go to the movie theater anymore because I don't really have the time, and I don't want to waste my time on a movie I'm not sure about. Same thing with TV shows. So I wait until lots and lots of people have seen it, and then if the reviews are great, then I think it's good and it's worth my time. So, you know, I wait till all the good movies come to HBO, and I make sure they're good movies before I watch them. And same thing with the TV shows. You know, I only watch what everybody else loves. And same thing with cigars. So I don't smoke all the new cigars. I wait to see what everybody loves, and then, you know, a year later, they're on sale. I also find myself sticking more with, really just sticking more with the old favorites. You know, I still smoke a lot of Oliva stuff. You know, I've been smoking a lot of Serie V's lately. Been smoking a lot of Serie V Milanios, Master Blends 3s, Serie O's. You know, I still buy a lot of that. And so I just been kind of it's been years that I've been, you know, rebuying boxes of that stuff. And, you know, I used to try to avoid that because, you know, there's a big wide world of wonderful cigars out there. You know, why go explore? But I think it was one of those deals where I just felt like, you know, I've done a lot of exploring. And, you know, I still do enjoy smoking new cigars. And if I go to like a B&M, I'll grab something new. You know, I won't, you I won't generally pull an old favorite out at a B&M unless I don't like their selection. But if I'm just at home kicking back, I'd find myself grabbing a lot of old favorites. Jason was going to call tonight. He's enjoying this live stream. All right, so he switched to a Romeo and a Julieta 1875. Still on the Four Roses. Way to go, Jason. Plus, you get to, let's see. Jim says, I hear you on the old favorites. Make a yearly trip to Cuba and bring home a few new ones. But always bulk buy the ones I love. Yeah. I think, I don't know. I mean, everybody's, that's what's so interesting. Everybody's cigar's journey is different, so cigar journey is different. So, Jim and I seem, to kind of be on the same page. I know some people still just, they love all new stuff. Some people, they find that one cigar that really gets them into it, and that's what they stick with. Some people explore, and I don't know, who knows, like next year it could be, I might just want to smoke all new stuff. It's just everybody's journey is unique, and that's what's fun about cigars. I don't normally use the term smooth to describe cigars because I think that's such a generic term, and that's what everybody uses. And people use the term smooth to as like that's one of the highest compliments. Ooh, smooth. They do the same thing with whiskey. But this San Andres is very smooth. A little earthy, a little chocolatey. A lot of chocolate. Chocolate, tobacco sweetness, a little raisiny. Very nice. It's not a very deep, like it doesn't taste like, aged tobacco, but it's just like a nice medium bodied tobacco sweetness. Jason can stay up late and then, well, as long as he doesn't drink too much Four Roses, he can go shoot in his backyard. Monte Cristo White Label. Hey man, it's not. I don't necessarily would call that a lame stick. I mean, it's whatever you like. Just Monte Cristo is similar to like Romeo and Julieta or the Cohiba Red Dots. They're just a. I've described it before as like a cigar that's kind of blended for the middle of the market, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a cigar that I think is blended to be a little milder and to have a lot of appeal to a lot of people. So it's not a bad cigar. It's not something that's going to be kind of on the extremes. Usually the connoisseurs tend to like things that are unique or challenging or kind of on the extremes. It's not that, but that doesn't make it a bad cigar. I mean, that doesn't make it a lame cigar. It's just, it is what it is. It's kind of like, I drink Corona. Is Corona a lame beer? Actually, I don't drink that much Corona, but I drink Mexican lager. So I drink Tecate and I drink Sol and I really Modelo Especial is probably my favorite Mexican lager, or Modelo Negra. It's not lame. It's just, it's different. I enjoy a Negra Modelo or a Modelo Especial. I also enjoy, a Lagunitas IPA. It's just different. That's smart. Phil says he waits a couple months after a new cigar comes out. Yeah, when new cigars come out, especially if they're hot, I've been disappointed so many times. You go to the B&M because you want that hot cigar, or like right after a cigar wins Cigar of the Year. You go in to buy one, and everybody just ordered a bunch, and so you've got all these freshly rolled cigars that are generally overly humidified or just a little too young, maybe in their sick period. Yeah, give it time. Let it settle down. I remember when one of my most disappointing cigar experiences was right after the Alec Bradley Prensado won Cigar of the Year for 2011. And I was a big fan of the Tempest, and I had some other Alec Bradley stuff that I had gotten online. I'm trying to think. I had the Tempest. What else did I have from Alec Bradley? Family Blend, maybe? I know, but I liked Alec Bradley. And so I was super excited to try the Prensado. Went to my shop. They had it. They had the Churchill, which was the Vitola that won Cigar of the Year. Got it home, smoked it that night. I think I paid like 12 or 13 bucks for it. Man, and that burned so badly. It was so over humidified. It kept canoeing and burning crooked. I had to keep relighting it, and it just tasted like horrible charred tobacco. I had to just puff on it like crazy to keep it burning, so it was hot, burning my tongue. It was like hot, steamy smoke that was burned. Bad, very bad. I mean, the Prensado actually, that was a bad experience. Eventually, the Prensado did become one of my favorite cigars, and I bought a box not that long ago, so I still smoke it. But yeah, it's a good idea to wait a few months, or buy them and just let them sit. But yeah, waiting because sometimes those manufacturers, they rush to roll a bunch. So yeah, see what people think. Give some time. Let the manufacturer iron out the kinks. Boy, what a nice night! I'll tell you what, man. Let's see what let's check our temp here. I don't have any music on right now. Normally I have music playing in the background. Let's see. Right now it is 62 degrees. 9:04 where I am. Check the weather for the weekend. Gonna get a new pool heater this week, which kind of sucks. Tyler Kroll says he likes most stuff from Alec Bradley. Oh, still has a box of the New Yorks. That's awesome, man. I have a handful left. Let's see, this weekend, tomorrow. Oh, it's gonna be a little colder. Oh, it's gonna be a cool weekend. Oh, that's not this weekend. That's tonight. I want to see the weekend. Yeah, that Alec Bradley New York is fantastic. I love that cigar. That's my favorite Alec Bradley cigar. Let's see. Let's look at the 3-day forecast. My wife complains sometimes about the weather here in southern Arizona, but I love it. So tomorrow, 77 and sunny. Sunday, 78 and sunny. That sounds good to me. Phil likes the black market. Black market's another good one. Ooh, 28 degrees where Jason's at. Got the propane heater going. Yeah, you'd have to. 28 degrees. That's cold. When it drops below like 50 outside, that's when I generally don't sit out here and smoke. When it gets that cold, I don't enjoy it. My hands get cold, my feet get cold. Years ago, when I was studying for the CPA exam, in the wintertime, I would go in the garage when it was cold out, which didn't bother me. I'd go in the garage, and I'd smoke out there and study. 17 degrees below zero. Oh, Jim. Now, is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? 20 degrees where Phil's at. Whew. Man, you guys are hardcore. Yeah, that's very cold. I tip my hat to you guys. I think that if we ever move somewhere cold, I think that will challenge my dedication as a cigar smoker. Because I'm absolutely a year-round cigar smoker, because I can be. 20 degrees. I don't know. I was out at my folks' house in Nebraska over Christmas, and there were some days there that the high was like -1, -2. There's the high for the day. You wake up in the morning at 14 below, and that's without wind chill. I think when I was there, I believe it was the coldest week in recorded history, or at least the coldest maybe for that week. I don't know. It was very, very cold, and I did not smoke any cigars that week. Celsius. So 17 below Celsius. Okay. Have to do my math. 9/5 minus 32, something like that. 5/9 minus 32 plus 32. have to go back to my high school math to remember that formula. How do I feel about Scott Frost? I'm excited. You know, I'm excited. You know, I feel bad for Mike Riley. I liked him as a coach and as a man. I'm not sure he was the right coach for the program. I don't like some of the hate that he's gotten because I don't think he deserves it. And frankly, I think if the quarterback play was a little better this year, we might be singing a different song about Mike Riley. You know, sometimes, you know, it was his third year in. Sometimes the personnel in college football or in the NFL, the right personnel can make a coach look really good, and the wrong personnel can make a coach look really bad. You know, rightly or wrongly. And I think Mike Riley, I don't know. He didn't seem to get the guys fired up, though. I mean, there were some things I did not like about Mike Riley as a coach. You know, I didn't like to see the guys walking through the tunnel, not looking fired up. Saw him coming out after halftime, you know, looking flat, looking bad. That to me, I don't like that. I don't like the penalties. You know, that's coaching. But still, overall, I did like Mike Riley. I think he was a good guy. I think he cared about his players, and I think he did his best to develop men, and I like that. I'm a big fan of that. But you know what? He was very old, and you know it could be a cultural thing or whatever else. I don't know, but it appeared to me that no, he was not maybe the right hire or a great fit for the program. Um, and so I'm excited for Scott Frost to come in. I'm excited because you know I hate hitting reset on a program again so quickly. You know, just at 3 years in, hitting reset again. I don't like that. That makes me nervous. Um, but it's nice that I can, you know, with Scott Frost coming in, you know, where I sit right now, it kind of cleans the slate and gives me something to be excited about next season. Rather than going, you know, if it was Mike Riley again, I would probably have a little pit in my stomach going into next season. But with Scott Frost, it's pure excitement. You know, the expectations are tempered because he's a new coach. You know, and you can't argue with, you know, what he did with UCF. And the only thing that I worry about is Husker fans who, you know, supposedly the best fans in the country. They will turn on a man. And I don't know. I don't know if they're going to want to see some high flying offense. You know, I don't know if they want to see, you know, 60 passes a game, but we'll see. I mean, wins cure all. You know, you throw up the W's, nobody cares what kind of offense you run. So I'm excited for Scott Frost. The whole state is excited for Scott Frost. So I'm excited as well. So go Huskers. Go Big Red. Let's see. Phil smoking the Grand Cru Churchill. Let's see. 23 degrees in Saudi Arabia. 7:10 in the morning. All right, Salah. Up early on a Saturday. Good for you. So many people waste their weekends laying in bed. Unless you pulled an all-nighter. So I guess in Saudi Arabia you don't get to have any scotch in Saudi Arabia. Let's see. Yeah. Bo Pelini. Yeah, Justin says Mike was a good break after the fire that was Bo Pelini. He was a little too much the other way. I could not stand Bo Pelini. So Bo Pelini's from Youngstown. And I went to high school just south of Youngstown in a city called Steubenville, Ohio. And while I don't know Bo Pelini personally, I've known several Bo Pelinis. And I've played for several Bo Pelinis. And Bo Pelini was an asshole. And Bo Pelini's idea of what it is to be a man or what it is to be a teammate or a leader is so far from my definition of what that role is. Um, Bo Pelini drove me nuts. He was the type of guy that if something went wrong, it was everybody else's fault. He was a big finger pointer. And then it was always, to motivate his team, it's us against the world. The media doesn't like it. The fans don't like us. Well, fuck them, blah, blah, blah. And Bo Pelini, if Bo Pelini was on fire, I wouldn't piss on him. I don't know. Bo Pelini drove me nuts. I was very glad to see Bo Pelini leave. And he would melt down under pressure. Big games he couldn't handle. Like I said, I played for Bo Pelini. Not specifically, but I played for a coach like that, who, when the going got tough, he just boiled over, blew his lid, lost his composure, and cost us games. And I saw that from Bo Pelini. So I'm glad he's gone. I hope everybody else likes this Husker talk. Not really a Husker channel, but I guess tonight it is. Let's see. 59 in California, so yeah, very close here. That's right, Solid. We've got cigars. Late hours on my long list of must-tries. Yeah, Davidoff is a brand that I haven't had too many of. I think I've had... The last one I had was the Davidoff Nicaragua in the tubo, the black tubo. Very classy looking presentation. Davidoff's presentation is nice. I do, I'm not huge into, marketing and branding, but I do like the way Davidoff brands their cigars. They're sharp looking, they're classy. Eight people still on. Boy, thanks for hanging out, guys. I was really, this is the first time I've ever live streamed, and I really was not sure if anybody would hang out, and I am thoroughly impressed that we have a little gathering here. That's pretty cool. The only Virginia Tech alum. No complaints. Yeah, no. You may be the only Virginia Tech alum. I would guess with me and the 8 others watching, we probably all went to different schools. That's right, online HERF. I got my undergrad at University of Akron. The Zips, if anybody's familiar with Mac Sports. But they are Division 1A. But the Zips, they had some rough years when I was there. Several 1 and 2 win seasons. They had some up years. Let's see. Bill Snyder. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but, when it comes to talking to football, I don't have enough time to follow really much outside of Husker. I follow Husker football very closely because I grew up with it. I didn't live in Nebraska growing up. My father was born there, and so I have a lot of extended family, and the family goes back in Nebraska several generations. So I grew up with Husker football, even though I never lived in Nebraska. My parents eventually moved back there. When I was a senior in high school, they moved to Lincoln. And left. I stayed in Ohio, so don't do that. Don't let your kids stay behind to finish high school. I did it. Still here. I graduated. I kept up with school, but I won't be making that decision with my daughter. That's for sure. She will stay in our house until she graduates. Was there a golf tournament in Scottsdale? What did I miss in Scottsdale? I haven't been. Let's see. Was it the Accenture Match Play even still in Tucson? I haven't been to a golf tournament in ages. When I was living in Akron in college, I used to go. I could always seem to find tickets to Firestone Invitational. Actually played played the South Course at Firestone when I was in college. After like a few weeks after the Firestone Invitational, they actually open up the South Course to a public tournament, and it's not. It wasn't. I mean, it was expensive, and it was very expensive for me as a college student. But it was like $150, I think, to get on and play in that tournament, which was just a way to play, you know, a high caliber PGA Tour course in PGA Tour condition, um, which I'm not sure if I recommend because it just eats golf balls. You know, when you've got 12-inch rough, it just eats golf balls. You know, you think you hit a fairway, it rolled out of the fairway, and you spend 10 minutes looking for a ball. The course played was really slow. The greens were so hard and fast. TPC Scottsdale's this weekend. Okay, well, I'm not gonna make it up to Scottsdale, but that does sound like fun. I need to get up there to see. If you guys ever watch Honest Cigar Reviews with James, James and I have been kind of online friends for 4 or 5 years. Somewhere out there, there's a live chat kind of like this with me, James, and oh, what was his name? He's a chiropractor now. He had a cigar channel. What was his name? But we did a couple chats where we all had the same cigar, and we would get on and smoke through the whole thing. And so James and I have been in touch, you know, quite a bit. And he's from Michigan, but he moved up to Phoenix a year or two ago. And we keep talking. We PM back and forth sometimes. And he just messaged me the other day saying that I need to get up there and we need to do a video together. I could really care less or not whether we make a video, but I just want to I want to meet James. We've talked enough, you know. He still comments my videos. I still watch his. I comment on his videos. So if you haven't checked him out, go check out James Lana Cigar Reviews. He's a cool dude. Seems like he's more of a pipe smoker now. That's right, Tyler. Go Big Red. Yeah. Doesn't anybody ever smoke a pipe? That's a good question. You're right. He did do one with Tim from Cigars Daily. But has anybody ever smoked a pipe like with any consistency? Or does anybody have a pipe, or is everybody just like a straight cigar smoker? Because I have a pipe, but I don't even have any pipe tobacco right now. You know, I'll occasionally, if I'm smoking a great cigar, I'll actually put the butt of my cigar in the pipe bowl and finish smoking it that way. Which is, I don't know, maybe that's ghetto, I don't know, but if I have a nice cigar that I don't want to end, I'll smoke it till it's nothing. So Justin hasn't tried a pipe. You know, the first time I tried a pipe, Jason's never tried a pipe either. The first time I tried a pipe was a few years ago. I bought a basket pipe at my cigar shop, like $20, this little Czech pipe. It looks nice enough. And I think the tobacco that I bought, I think it was probably a little bit too wet. I probably should have dried it out, but I didn't do enough research on pipe smoking. And, you know, I did research on how to pack it properly. So I think I did pack it right. But I didn't really realize how often, you know, you need to relight it. I mean, you relight pipes and tamp them and just constantly. But I was trying to puff on it to keep it lit. You know, like if you have a cigar that's starting to go out, you kind of machine gun puff it for a minute to kind of get that cherry going again. I did that with a pipe. And it was a weekend that I don't even know if my daughter was born yet. My wife was out of town. And so I had the house to myself. So I had all the free time in the world to smoke. And so I remember I packed a big bowl and I smoked several bowls that weekend. Just machine gun puffing this pipe. And I got the worst pipe bite on my tongue. If you've never heard the term pipe bite, it's like, there's two types. You can either burn your tongue from the heat from puffing on it, or there's also like a chemical reaction you can get from smoking pipe tobacco that can kind of like chemically burn your tongue. I think I had a little bit of both. I couldn't taste food for like 2 weeks. It burned my tongue so badly. And I actually ended up giving my pipe tobacco away. So I haven't tried it again since then. Oh man, I got such terrible pipe bite. I also found that pipes aren't as flavorful. It feels it's a lot more airy, the smoke. Cigars have nice, rich, thick smoke. Pipe smoke is very thin and airy. So I think my problem is I was trying to get a cigar experience out of a pipe, which is a bad idea. But pipes are just so much work, just all the relighting and the tamping. And I remember just hanging out in the cigar shops. I remember I heard a guy tell a joke one time. Um, he said, why don't you hire a pipe smoker?" I said, "I don't know why, because he already has a job." So there's my pipe smoker joke for you. I do smoke in the morning, Sala. I like to smoke in the morning. I probably won't tomorrow because I'll probably be out smoking late tonight. But I do smoke in the morning. I will even set my alarm to get up and smoke in the morning. Before anybody wakes up, I'll grab a book, make a pot of coffee, and I'll sit outside. In the morning, I do. I don't always follow the general guidance of if you smoke mild cigars in the morning, but I do tend to gravitate towards like a creamier cigar in the morning to go with coffee. But really, if I open the humidor and the mood strikes for whatever cigar I'm looking at, I find that coffee is one of those kind of universal pairing beverages that I don't think I've ever had a cigar that didn't go well with coffee. Jason says, I think what turns me off to the idea, you don't like the taste of straight tobacco. Now that's interesting. Well, I I think with pipe tobacco, you could get an aromatic, that has some flavor. But just like with cigars, there's so many different blends. I mean, some cigars have more of a tobacco taste, but some are going to be chocolatey, some are going to be earthy, some are going to taste like coffee, some are going to taste kind of grassy or woody. Um, there's some are very rich, some are very creamy, some are very peppery. I think you get the same thing with pipe tobacco. From everything that I've learned, is that you could get an aromatic that might taste, like cherry vanilla or plum or whatever. But you can also get English blends and Periques and Virginias, all of which have very different characters. So Jason is strictly an afternoon evening smoker, not a coffee drinker. Tea pairs nicely with cigars as well. Tea, however, I do if I'm going to drink tea in the morning with coffee, I will grab a very mild cigar. Because I find that if a fuller bodied cigar will tend to wash out the flavors of the tea. You can't really taste it, so you know what's the point? Might as well drink hot water. Getting a decent enough time. I was fooling around for like probably 20 minutes smoking on the cigar, trying to figure out how to get this live stream going. Um, I had to get. I'm really surprised at. It's really not that intuitive to get a live stream going. You have to get this this encoder tool that you have to download on your computer and run this encoder. I don't know. Jim says he enjoys rum or whiskey with cigar. His wife won't let him smoke in the morning. Well, Jim, sometimes it's easier to say you're sorry than to ask for permission. So, my wife, she's pretty good about cigar smoke. She doesn't like to kiss me after I smoke cigars, but I'm not really gonna fault her for that. Um, yeah, I'm pretty lucky that my wife doesn't really complain too much about cigar smoke. Sala says, which American cigars do I recommend, and are they as good as the ones from the islands? Well, if by American cigars you probably mean cigars that are available in the States, I guess. I mean, there's a few American cigar companies. Drew Estate being a big one. George Rico. What are there some? I mean, I guess a lot of the boutiques are American companies. Um, but yeah, I mean, but the cigars that are available in the U.S. that are non-Cuban, so she say, not from the islands, the non-Cuban cigars are every bit as good as Cuban cigars. No, they're not the same. Cuban cigars have a very unique flavor profile from what I've had. I haven't had the full run. I've smoked a lot of Por Larrañagas. I've smoked a lot of Hoyo de Monterreys. I've smoked a lot of, I've smoked almost a whole box of Bolivars, Partagas. What else have I had? Anything else? So my experience is, I mean, I've smoked several dozen Cuban cigars, but compared to my experience with non-Cubans, my Cuban experience is very small. So Cuban cigars tend to have a unique flavor profile. Still a broad range, of Cuban cigars from mild to full, and different flavor profiles depending on the regions where they're from. But you're not going to find a non-Cuban cigar that really tastes like a Cuban cigar. I have yet to find that. I mean, some come closer. Some of the tatuajes I've had are a little bit closer. Um, but as good though, absolutely. Padron, I think makes some of the best cigars in the world. That's a big brand. Padron is now pretty much available all over Europe. I don't know if they're available in Saudi Arabia, but I would bet they are. You know, but again, it's going to be very different from a Cuban experience. Christoph makes great cigars. I'm a Nicaraguan guy. Nicaraguan cigars are very different from Cuban cigars. I mean, American made, if there are any. Um, let's see. Well, there's some factories in Miami. Um, let's see. Who did Fuente have a factory in Miami? Who has a factory in Miami? George Rico from Miami? I don't know. If you get the chance, Sala, a really interesting American cigar is the George Rico American Puro. And that's actually got some Kentucky fire cured tobacco in it, so it's got like this kind of barbecuey wood smoke to it. Not a huge fan of fire cured tobacco, but that American Pure just has a little bit in there to give it something extra. And that's using, I think, all tobacco from, I think it's Pennsylvania and Connecticut. But there's not a lot of cigars, I don't think, at least not a lot of cigars that are widely distributed that are manufactured in the U.S. Jason likes Crown Heads from Nashville. Okay, yeah, that's another. Yeah, a lot of the boutiques are based here, um, but Crown Heads, their factory's not in Nashville. Warped in Florida. So we got a good Tennessee contingent. See, now I get to the point where I just have to start to decide if I'm going to light another cigar as I'm getting towards the nub on this one. I don't think I'm going to go inside and get any. I think I'm just going to drink this neat. Getting a little low on the tomato. Periodically, I need to go through and just finish the bottles that I have that are mostly empty. I agree, Jason. This is fun. A business opportunity. I don't know. I have a couple friends who are small business owners, and a few years ago, I was just kind of feeling pretty low, with my job satisfaction, and accounting and finance was just kind of wearing on me, and so I had a couple different business ideas, and I ran them by my friends who that's what they're business owners. and they've started businesses, they've started successful businesses, and they run, so just kind of talking with them just to kind of get some advice or, see what their thoughts were. And everybody said the same thing, because everything I was looking at, and one of the things I was looking at was, believe it or not, cigars. And I was going to make a small investment and, go to Nicaragua and try to blend a cigar and launch a brand. And everybody said the same thing. What's your experience in the industry? Well, I've smoked a lot of cigars. Yeah, but what's your experience in the industry? You ever work in a shop? You ever sell a cigar? You ever do, you ever blend a cigar? You ever do anything? No. I said, don't do that. Capitalize on your strengths. Okay, yes, you like this, but they all said the same thing. Open a, if you want to go to business for yourself, start your own accounting firm. Start your own consulting firm. And the only problem with that is that's like the last thing I want to do is to have my own accounting firm. I've worked in public accounting, and I hated it. But now, luckily, I really like what I do now. I've got a really good job. For me, I like it a lot. I have a high degree of personal freedom in my day-to-day. There's a lot of creativity in my work. I get to see every facet of the organization I work for, and I get a paycheck every other week too. And I mean, that's nice. I would love to have my own business. And one day, I think my dream job would be to I'd like to be like a rent a CFO. Because there's a lot of small businesses that could use CFO services, but they can't afford to get one on the payroll. And frankly, they don't need a full-time CFO. They just need somebody to review monthly or quarterly financials, help them navigate the annual audit, maybe do some tax review, or at least coordinate the tax filing with a external firm. And to help make, do things like negotiate leases and, help do long-term forecasting and planning, stuff like that. That's not necessarily full-time. I would like to do that eventually. But the problem with that is, your paycheck's not a sure thing. And, I've got a small daughter and, a family to think about. And I don't really want to put them through that kind of stress, and I don't really put myself through that kind of stress. So, I mean, there is something really, I would love to work for myself, but there is something really convenient and nice about getting a paycheck every 2 weeks and having it be the same. My pay does not change. I might get a bonus or two throughout the year, but I don't count on that. Let's see. Phil says the fastest way to kill a hobby is to make it a business. I totally agree. That's why I didn't. I'm a guitar player, and one of the things I considered when I was in college as an undergrad was to major in guitar. Because I started playing guitar when I was in like first grade, and so I can hold my own on a guitar. And that was the thing. It's like, well, do I really want to turn that into my livelihood? Plus, I took guitar lessons, so I saw the livelihood of what getting a degree in guitar does for you. It means you're a gigging musician on the weekend playing bars in a rock band, which is fun. But you can do that. I could do that now if I really wanted to. I don't care enough to do that because that's just too much time. But if I really wanted to, I could do that, and I can do that again eventually. And then give lessons for $20 a half hour. It's a lot of work, and I didn't want to turn my passion into my job. So I studied finance. Jem says there's so many great cigars out there. No one country has the best. Most of what I buy is Cuban, but that's just because the price is so good when I'm on vacation. Yeah, totally agree, Jim. Plus, people say, what's the best cigar? Whatever your favorite is, that's the best cigar. The B&M owner of Jerry from Jerry's Fine Cigars in Tucson. If you ever asked him what's your favorite cigar, his answer was always the next one, and I like that answer. What's your favorite cigar? The next one. So that's a good one too. Let's see. The minute you start doing what's fun for living, it stops becoming fun. I agree. Like work. That's why they call it work. They don't call it fun. Tobacco tax is high in Canada. It's hard to buy at home. That's why Jim didn't become a gigolo. Yeah? Well, I don't know. Do you think sex could ever become a job? I don't know. I think there's other pitfalls of being a gigolo. I don't know if you get tired of the sex. You probably get tired of the clientele. Sal says, do a good blend so you can buy some. Yeah. Isn't that what everybody's trying to do? Make a good blend? If it was that easy, we would all. But you know what? I say that, but there's tons of great cigars out there. Jason says the best cigar is the one that's burning in your ashtray. Totally agree. Although I think I prefer the next one. I always have that hope. I always look forward to that next great cigar. Yeah, I also find myself as a cigar smoker. Like I said, I find I'm not a big fan of Dominican cigars. So that's that again, that doesn't hold true 100% of the time. There's some good Dominican cigars that I've liked. Some of the Crown Head stuff, it's Dominican. It's good. Um, but like I don't like La Flor Dominicana. Not a big Arturo Fuente guy. I don't really like Opus X, Don Carlos. It just doesn't do it for me. And I know that's to a lot of people. You might have heard me talk about Opus X before on my channel, but yeah, Opus X doesn't really do it for me. I find it a little bit boring, overpriced, and I also find the quality control is not quite as good with Opus X as you would hope it would be. Every time I don't know if I've ever had a cigar from Opus X that I thought, ooh, that's a bad cigar. But it's either, oh, that's not worth the price, or, yeah, the first inch was good, but the rest was pretty much the same, and it was kind of boring, Except for the Bellicoso Triple X, the Power Ranger. I actually like that cigar. I like that cigar with Christmas beer. I need to get my lighters fixed. It's so sad looking down at this little Bic. It's kind of stupid. I said I've got my little single jet Zycar Executive 2, which is my pocket lighter, and I've got a tabletop. And they're both broken. That's annoying. Like I said, Zycars replaced them, and last time I was at the shop to get them replaced, I talked to the manager of the B&M, who actually lives in my neighborhood here, and I asked him, like, what's wrong with Zycar now? And I guess he said they're being manufactured in China, and that the quality is really bad. And he was trying to get me to buy, and he's not a pushy type to try to get me to buy anything. But he said, if you want a good lighter, you got to get a ST DuPont. And he showed me his, but he works at the shop. He probably got it for free. I didn't ask because it's rude, but it's like, I don't want to pay $150 for a lighter. That's a lot of money. I don't know. If I'm to spend $150, I'll do it on a really nice bottle of scotch. I don't know, a lighter. I'll just keep sending in my Zycar. The thing is, with the $150 for an ST DuPont, I could buy, 75 of these. I don't know. Jason says when he first started, he loved Dominicans. And now that he started branching out, he finds that Nicaraguans are very appealing. Not that the DR makes bad cigars. Yeah, again, I hesitate to ever call a cigar bad. Very few cigars I've had that I really hate them so much I just put them down. The only one that comes to my head right now is the La Flor Dominicana Double Claro. That's their Candela. Let's see. Phil says, nope, I get my freebie lighters with cigar orders. Yeah, that's smart too. When you get online, yeah, you can usually get, they're always running deals on like Cigars International, Holtz, things like that, where, you buy a box and you get a lighter, like a Calibri, or Calibri is a big one, that'll have like the the brand printed on the side. Nothing wrong with that. Normally don't like Honduran, says Jim. But the Black Lotus, which is Honduran Nicaraguan, is one of my favorites. Yes, I am. I can't turn it off. I wish I could. My wife laughs at me sometimes, but I am absolutely an accountant. Jason paid $10 for a cheap scotch. Oh, cheap, cheap scorch. Let's say, wow, $10. That is cheap scotch. No, cheap scorch. 3-torch butane lighter. Going on 3 years, works just fine. Yeah, you know, my very first torch lighter was I think it was Jetline. And that lighter probably would still be working more or less if I hadn't broken it. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was trying to clean the jets or something. I took it apart. I totally broke it. Let's see. Do you think using just a typical cigarette lighter in a cigar messes with the flavors? Not at all. This cigar, or this lighter, that flame is a butane flame. The butane in here is no different than the butane on a torch lighter. If anything, using a Bic like this, you're going to have less opportunity to ruin the flavors of your cigar, because you're not going to scorch your cigar with a soft flame. You can scorch the end of a cigar with a torch, because the torch gets much hotter, and so you can scorch it and kind of ruin the flavors for the first few draws. Eventually that'll go away, and the cigar will settle down. But no, using a cigarette lighter will not affect the flavors of your cigar. The only thing that would affect that would be if you used, and I've never done it, so I really can't testify to how much it affects the flavor, but like a Zippo that uses like a fluid, that could leave some kind of I think it's a petroleum-based fluid, and that could leave residue on the cigar, and that can screw up the flavors potentially. Like I said, I've never done it just because it's one of those things that's strongly recommended against lighting your cigar with a Zippo. So I've never done it. The same thing if you're lighting your cigar with matches, make sure that when you light the match, you let the sulfur completely burn. Don't put the match to your cigar, under your cigar, while that sulfur tip is still burning. Yeah, I've also used cedar spills, and I don't really get the appeal of that, but whatever, to each their own. We're all on our own unique cigar journey, and frankly, if you light your cigar with a Zippo and you like it, whatever. I mean, it's fine with me. The wife is leaving work now. This is so good. 46% non-chill filtered. It doesn't say no color added. Let me see. No, it doesn't say that. Usually that's what I look for. Mostly because of Ralphie's stuff. I don't know if you guys are Scotch drinkers, but I watch, I have for ages. I probably started in 2009, watching, maybe 2010, watching Ralphie on YouTube review Scotch. He's the best Scotch reviewer out there. And he's the one that he's kind of really heavily influenced my Scotch journey. And so, I mean, I can definitely tell a diff. I don't know if I can tell as much with the colorant. He bitches about the colorant a lot. I don't know if I can always tell. But certainly with chill filtration, tell a huge difference between a chill filtered Scotch and a non-chill filtered Scotch. Down to the nub, must be a goodie. Says iTurbo1. Join Cuban Connection on Facebook and get Cubans. Phil likes Ralphie. All right. Yeah, Ralphie's a lot of fun. I think he's a guy Probably because he was, if you didn't know it, he was an undertaker. You know, he was like a funeral director, and I think you know, just dealing with mortality for so long, I think just, you know, gives a person a unique perspective on life and what life is and how to live. And Ralphie has that, man. And I think he's a very mindful person, and I think we could all use a bit of that. You know, and I not that I try to emulate that, but I try to, you know, bring my own take, kind of on the same thing about how to live life and about how to enjoy the small things, how to be thankful for what you have. You know, I have friends, a couple friends in particular, who are, you know, successful people, you know, by you know what, you know, the typical standard, you know, when you think about, you know, career success and family success and everything else. Um, they're not happy. You know, they're very hungry people. They always want more. They're greedy. You know, really, for the, if you just really want to distill it down to one word, they're greedy, and they always want more, and they work themselves so hard. I mean, and they're talented. You know, smart people with a lot of talent, and they're really making the most of their talent, and they really buy into the, you know, work, work, work. You know, always be hungry, never be satisfied. And boy, I am not like that at all. Because to me, if you're never satisfied with what you have and where you're at, then you're never happy. I want to be satisfied. That's I take a complete opposite stance. I mean, I want to live up to my potential, sure, but you know, my goal in life is I want to maximize happiness while I'm here. You know, I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to constantly be struggling for something else. You know, I have a friend who I was talking to not that long ago. He was just working himself into the ground, and I asked him, you know, what is it that you want? What are you trying to get from this? Well, you know, I'm looking at this lake house. I really want to buy this lake house. It's like, do you have to buy it now? You know, I mean, because he's my age. I'm 33. You know, we went to high school together, and like, do you have to have it now? Like, can you wait? I mean, what's a lake house going to give you? And you know, just 2 years ago, there was other stuff that you wanted that you have now, but you're not happy with it. So, do you really think a lake house is going to make you happy? Um, but you know, hey, to each their own. But you know, that's not me. My thoughts on the Shark Eye, or whatever it's called, that got named Cigar of the Year by CA. Not going to pay the current. That's that Don Carlos. Haven't had it. The Shark Eye. Or, yeah, whatever it is. I don't even really know. I quit getting Cigar Aficionado. I subscribed for several years, and then I just let my subscription lapse because I quit reading it. I just I got tired of reading about, you know, hovercraft golf carts and $200,000 watches that I just didn't have a lot of interest in, or celebrity articles that didn't have anything to do with cigars. Cigar Obsession. Oh, Brian Glenn was Cigar Obsession. Yeah, I don't have anything against Brian Glenn. He does his own thing. I wouldn't put Brian Glenn up there with Ralphie. I mean, Brian is with Cigar Obsession is, I mean, he's got, it's very formulaic with his reviews. I mean, it's really down to this is the cigar, these are the flavors, and that's about it. You know, I've watched his reviews. You know, I subscribe to his channel. I don't really watch them anymore, but I mean, over the years, I've watched lots. Nothing against Brian. I would never discourage anyone from watching Brian's videos, but they're not something that I get excited about. You know, as a reviewer, I respect Brian Glenn. I think he's one of the pioneers of YouTube cigar reviews. I think sometimes he's a little bit possessive about that. Like, he feels like every other cigar reviewer on YouTube is trying to copy him, which I don't agree with. I don't think that's the case, and you know, sometimes he's been vocal about that, about people, you know, copying his style, or you know, things that he says or whatever. You know, I don't know. He certainly has the right to that opinion. Say he did. I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's a good cigar reviewer. But it's not. Again, it's. I don't know. I'm trying to think of any cigar channels right now that I really get excited about. Obviously anything that James does with Honest Cigar Reviews, mostly because I really like and respect James, um, just on a personal level. And I used to watch. You can go check out the back catalog of the Calypso Cigar podcast. Look up Calypso Cigar Review on YouTube. That Randy and I'm having a brain fart now. Randy and Brandon, who did that. I consider them friends. Brandon and I have talked on the phone. Brandon's actually been to my house. Yeah, he's a cigar rep now, and he's actually been to my house. He had dinner over here. We sat back here on the porch and had a few cigars. If you've never checked it out, yeah, go check out the back catalog of the Calypso Cigar Review podcast. They're not making any shows anymore, but there's a couple hundred in the back catalog that are definitely worth checking out. I also really like Cigar Time, and that's a public access TV show from Eastern Pennsylvania, and they're good. Oh, my cigar went out. I think I will. If you want to bear with me for a moment, I'm going to go grab like a Petite Corona. And I'm going to have one more. Hang on. All right, went for the Serie V Milano number 4 Petite Corona. It's a good half-hour smoke. Wide open draw. One thing I'll say for Sidecar, their cutters are still awesome. Well, I don't know if I'd say still awesome. I would assume they're still awesome. I think their cutters are still made in the U.S. But I've had this XI1 for a long, long time. Never had it sharpened. Never had it serviced. I clean it periodically, but that's the only fancy cut I've ever had. I have a couple other ones that are plastic. They're both double guillotines. I think they're, what is it, Craftsman's Bench or something like that. I hear a coyote. But those are for, occasionally I'll misplace my cutter, and then I'll use one of those Craftsman Bench. They're okay. See, you can light a cigar with a Bic lighter. It works. That is a familiar cigar. I have smoked so many of these. I've probably smoked more Milano number 4s than any other cigar. I've smoked boxes and boxes of these. Oh, Jason says, who wants a prop bet on what I grab? I don't see that nobody guessed. However, I don't know, anything Oliva would have been a good guess. I almost grabbed the runner-up. I actually almost grabbed an Opus X number 5. Sala, if I ever made it to the Havana Cigar Festival, I would love that. Um, but the likelihood that I am at the the Havana Cigar Festival anytime in the next few years is probably pretty low. Most of the traveling I do is either with my family or like business conferences, and I don't think I'll have any business conferences in Havana. Anybody? I'm going to. Let's see. My next. I don't travel all that often for business either. I think then my next trip is Portland. I'll be in Portland for about a week in early June. So if anybody's in Portland, look me up. We'll go have a cigar some evening. It's funny. When I first started my channel, I actually had a few people who did want to meet up, who were coming through Tucson, and I didn't do it because I just this was I've had my channel for about 5 years, so it's probably about 4 years ago. A couple people wanted to meet up that were coming to Tucson, and I try to be good about responding to comments and certainly direct messages, but I remember it just kind of weirded me out, and I really didn't have any desire to do that. It kind of freaked me out a little bit. I've changed on that. I don't have the same feelings. Like I said, Brandon, who I met over YouTube, and from listening to the Calypso Cigar Review podcast, and going back and forth, with direct messages and phone conversations. I've had it in my house, so to meet somebody at a cigar lounge or a bar isn't I'm not weird about that anymore. Used to be. Although the only thing that I've never done that I still am opposed to, on occasion I will have people message me that want to send me cigars, um, individuals, and that's something that I've always declined, and I probably will continue to. The only time I could see myself accepting cigars in the mail, from just individuals is if I fell on hard times, financially, and I couldn't really afford to smoke anymore. I just don't like the idea of take. I mean, I don't know. It's weird because I love to give cigars, so maybe it's a double standard because I do tend to give cigars away. Like if I meet somebody and I know that and I learned that they're a cigar smoker, like one of my wife's coworkers. We went out and had dinner with them a couple weeks ago, and she said that her husband was a cigar smoker. So I packed a little bag and I gave him, half dozen of my favorite cigars. Um, I like to give cigars away to people who smoke and who I know, will appreciate them. Um, but as far as accepting cigars from people, I don't like doing it because I want people to enjoy their own cigars. And the other thing too is, I hate the idea of someone sending me cigars that they love, and then maybe I don't love them. Um, I don't want to. I would almost feel pressured to make a video. Smoking. Hey, I sent you this cigar. It's my favorite cigar. Would you please review it? And I wouldn't want to do a negative review. I've accepted cigars from manufacturers, um, and usually the way I do things with manufacturers is if I always ask for multiples so I can smoke it first, get my bearings on it, so I can do a good review. So if a manufacturer sends me a 5-pack of a blend and I smoke a couple and I'm not really a big fan, I'll shoot them an email and say, look, I smoked your cigar. These were kind of my thoughts. I'm not sure it's right up my alley. If you want me to, I will gladly review it, but it's not really a cigar that I feel fits my palate well. So let me know what you think, and usually they just say no. If you weren't a fan, then you don't need to review it. That's fine. I just let them know that I had it and that I did try it. But yeah, because I like, and the reason I do that, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, I hesitate to call a cigar a bad cigar. Just because I didn't like it doesn't mean it's bad. All that rich smoke. I just like to share what I enjoy. You know, I like to share my favorite cigars. I like to share cigars that I like. Wow, there's still 11 people on here. That's crazy. That is something. Been on here for an hour and 36 minutes. That's a long time. Jason says he gets about 3 trips a year at work. One of which is usually international. Some of the coolest and most friendly people in the world are cigar smokers. I agree, Jason. Cigar smokers usually have a finger on the pulse of life. I totally agree. That's my only complaint about the job that I'm at now. I'm coming up on 3 years in my current position, and I love the job, but the job prior, I was like almost walking distance from Jerry's Cigars in Tucson, which is my favorite shop in the city, and I would go in there 3 and 4 days a week at lunchtime. Middle of the day, I would always, I'd leave my desk at 11:30. I took really long lunches. I'd be back at 1:30. And I worked long days, but I would go in there, and that was the most fun. I was the youngest guy. They would always tease me, when it was time to go. They were all retired, and they would always say, "Oh, need that Social Security check? You better get back to work." But that was the closest thing I'd ever experienced. I've described it before as being like Cheers. When you walk in the bar, "Hey Norm." That's how it was, when I walked in. I knew everybody's name. Everybody knew mine. It was, "Oh, hey, Kirk, how you doing? Hey, Kirk." I knew all the employees in the shop, and it was that was a lot of fun. Good people who, again, knew how to appreciate life. And cigars are great equalizers too. You know, it's not. I don't see it as as a rich man's hobby. You could be a bricklayer, a custodian, and you can afford a $4 cigar. Once or twice a week. And it's not a big deal. And so you can sit in a cigar lounge, really, between a landscaper and a doctor, and have a conversation, and that's really cool. I really love that aspect about a good cigar lounge where the chairs and couches are facing together. That's what I look for in a cigar lounge. Sometimes you walk in a cigar lounge and there's a wall full of TVs and chairs all facing the TV. I don't like that, because then you find yourself smoking next to people, but not smoking with them, if that makes sense. Um, and I like to smoke with people, so I like to go into a lounge that will have coffee tables in the middle and chairs surrounding that forces you to look at people. And if you're forced to look at somebody, you're going to talk to them, because it's really weird to sit there for 90 minutes and do this. It's not just weird; it's rude. Um, So, like I said, I love going into a cigar lounge, and you never know who you're gonna meet. College professors, engineers, landscapers, musicians. I've met border patrol agents, firemen, just all different walks of life. Joe says, "Howdy, greetings from Cleveland." How you doing, Joe? Hope it's warm in Cleveland. I went to college near there. I went to University of Akron, so I'm a little bit familiar with the area. And when I worked, I did ticket sales, and I used to work in the summertime in the box office at the Scene Pavilion for their summer concert series. And I remember one night working in the Scene Pavilion all day for, I think it was, who was the I think it was Devo. I think Devo was playing, and it was so hot in that box office, and I hadn't eaten much, and I went with a coworker to Cooperstown down the street, and I had 2 beers at Cooperstown, and I mean I'm a drinker, and I was just rocked, and I knew I was not going to get back. I just after, I mean, they were big beers. I think they were like they might have been 32-ounce beers, so it's like half gallon of beer. Um, but I actually remember laying down in the back seat of my car because I knew there was no way I was going to get back to Akron from Cooperstown and Cleveland at like 2:30 in the morning. No, Justin, Border Patrol is not on in Tucson. You are exactly right. They are everywhere. LeBron leaving y'all. I don't know. You think LeBron will leave? Partied at Akron. Yeah. The house I lived on, the house I lived in Akron, on Exchange Street, has been bulldozed. So no more partying there. All right, Jim, have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Joe, I am smoking the Oliva Serie V Milanio, number 4. It's the Petite Corona. To follow up, earlier I was smoking the Christoph San Andres. I'm with you, Joe. I don't think he'll leave. So, like I said earlier, I haven't been watching a lot of cigar review channels. So, anybody want to start throwing out, what their favorite other cigar review channels are? Because anymore, I'm trying to think what I watch. I used to watch, recently, I kind of watched some Lee Mac 912 for a while, but I like him, but I just started to lose interest. I'm trying to think what else. Um, what's that guy's name from Ira Busto? Is he in Indiana? I don't know. I'm trying to think. I used to watch his reviews. I just, like I said, I just haven't really been watching many cigar reviews. They make these bands so hard to get off. Cigar Vixen, yeah. I like Delicia. Some guys like to give her shit, but I think they're just haters because she's very attractive. If you look at her early videos, I understand why people gave her shit because it was a lot of like, she would hold a cigar and they would zoom in on her cleavage, whatever else. But which, whatever, what's not to like about that? But she knows her stuff, man, and she's really gotten into the industry. She knows cigars. She knows good whiskey. She knows she knows the traveling. She knows the region. She knows the DR. She knows Nicaragua. She knows Cuba. Good for Delicia, man. And she was super cool. Like when I got rid of my Instagram account a while ago, but she used to comment on my Instagram page, which I thought was really cool because she has a lot of Instagram followers, and that always made me feel special. When she would message me on Instagram. So actually I do watch Delicia's videos from time to time because I think she's that people give her shit, but I think it's just because they're haters, just because she's attractive and because looks like she lives a pretty fun life. She's doing what she wants, and I say more power to her. And I like Delicia. She does know her stuff. I didn't watch them all. She had or she still has on Amazon Prime. She has a Cigar Vixen like mini series. It's like 6 episodes, something like that. It's like a travel series, but she also smokes cigars and drinks wherever she goes. And yeah, it's reviews are uninspiring. You know, maybe in a way, I can see why you would think the reviews are uninspiring. Justin likes the thumbnails. But it's hard, you know. That's one thing I'll say for Delicia, and I'll definitely say for Brian Glenn. The fact that they still produce so many reviews, and they do seem to keep it pretty fresh and keep with the format. You know, one of the reasons why I've disappeared for so long is I ran out of things to say. And I got, you know, it gets tiresome, you know, talking about cigars sometimes. You know, you just want to smoke a cigar and just enjoy a cigar. Um, and well, I always smoked a lot more cigars than I reviewed. Um, I just got, you know, how many times can I sit here and say coffee, leather, earth, a little bit of cinnamon, a little spice in the tongue. Let's see what the next third brings. You know, that gets a little bit boring. And so I think, you know, that's why a lot of those reviewers that have been reviewing for a long time, sometimes I think that their reviews do get a little bit tiresome, or you just get tired of watching it because it becomes formulaic. I think it's really hard to keep stuff fresh. Uh-oh, Joe retracted a message. I didn't get to see it. But, yeah. But I would, you know, if I ever get the chance, I would love to meet up with Delicia in San Diego and have a cigar. I don't think that'll ever happen, but, you know, it'd be nice. Oh, thanks, Justin. Justin likes my conversational style. Yes, Epic Born. This is the very first live stream. Never done it before. I don't know. I had the laptop out here and I thought I would give it a try. I've never done it before. I wanted to see if I could do it. Um, but yeah, it appears to be working. Yeah, no, I agree, Justin. You know, it's good that Brian Glenn does that. You know, he won't pull his punches. And I think that's fine. I said I take a different stance. You know, I don't. Yeah, I'm not afraid to say that I don't like a cigar, but I really just try to promote what I like best. You know, I don't want to publish a video on a cigar that I didn't like. Um, just because someone else might like it doesn't make it a bad cigar just because it didn't hit my palate the right way. You know, I think that La Flor Dominicanas tastes like cardboard to me. A lot of people would really disagree. For a lot of people, that's their favorite brand, and they love La Flor Dominicana. Um, and they're not wrong, but I'm not wrong either. So again, I just prefer, since it's so subjective, I just like sharing the positivity because, you know, I look at cigars as a leisure activity. It should be, you know, enriching to people. You know, if I felt like there was ever a cigar out there that was like a total ripoff, maybe I'd want to let people know and warn them. You know, which is one of the reasons why I do kind of sometimes talk bad about Opus X because I don't. Hey, people love them. I don't know. They're not for me. I find that they're very. I find the quality control is pretty lax for how expensive they are, and that they're not that dynamic. You know, they're pretty one-dimensional in my experience. But outside of that, though, I mean, I would just rather share positivity and you know, really promote what I like rather than to try to, you know, tear down what I don't like. Because if I don't like a cigar, I don't have to smoke it again. Mm, good stuff. Jason says, I admit it. Yeah, no, you're right. Again, yeah, Brian Glenn, he will say that. You know, that is just his opinion. That's good. And what's also cool about Brian Glenn's channel is he reviews some pretty wild stuff from time to time, and that's pretty neat to see. He smoked that Puros Indios. That was, how long was that cigar? I don't know. He smoked that cigar for hours. That enormous Puros Indios cigar. He smoked the really expensive Gurkhas. He got his hands on some of those. And hey, I'll tip my hat to him because he was very honest. Is this cigar worth $700, whatever it was? Absolutely not. Because no cigar is worth $700. I don't care if it's a pre-embargo, whatever. No cigar is gonna be worth $700. Not to me. But hey, they're out there. I guess if someone's willing to pay $700 for a cigar, then I guess it's worth $700. Yeah, you're right, Justin. I have not been putting out many reviews. There was a long time, and that's what's such a shame about YouTube. It's really a slog. When you say I don't put out that many reviews. There was a long time that I put out 2 to 3 videos a week. I would do 1 to 2 weeknight videos, and then I would do a full review on the weekend. And I did that for a long time, and I had, at that time, I had just no viewership. I didn't have any subscribers. It took, I don't know how, it took like a year to get up to 100 subscribers. I think I have about 1,600 now. And I am about 4.5 years in, I think. I think maybe 5 years in June. And so you put in all that work, and you just don't get a lot of feedback. And again, I don't do it for praise or feedback, but I love talking to you guys. I like what I like about my channel now is that when I put up a video, I feel like people are gonna watch it, and that's I don't feel like I'm talking to myself. I actually feel like I have an audience, which is awesome. And in fact, I got 10 people watching right now. That's amazing on a live cast. And so it's more fun when you feel like you have an audience. And so for those first couple of years, I just didn't really feel like I had an audience. I had like 1 or 2 people, but then I would almost feel bad, like the same people who would comment on my videos. I'd feel like I would always wonder, well, do they feel obligated to comment on my videos because they comment on all of them and there's no other comments? It just takes a long time to build an audience. Joe asks, what line of work am I in? I'm an accountant, Joe. So yes, accounting and finance, has kind of my background. I'm a CPA, but my undergrad's in corporate finance. I'm in more of a finance position. I don't do a lot of general ledger work right now. I do a little bit of it, but I do a lot more forecasting and analysis. But recently I'm now in charge of payroll for the organization I'm in, so I manage payroll, which is, it is what it is. It's gotta get people's checks right. That's important. So I get a check every 2 weeks, for what I do, and I really like my job, so it's all right. Let's see. Jason says, I'm kind of lucky. I stumbled on this channel about a month ago, and he kind of restarted his videos recently. That's true. Justin binge watches my videos like a Netflix show. That's like the most boring Netflix session ever. But good for you, Justin. I'm glad you enjoy them. One of the OGs on YouTube. Thank you, L Media. Not sure that's true, but I do my best. I'm just a guy who smokes cigars and drinks hard liquor in front of a camera from time to time. I guess that's not all that I do. I also drink beer. Me and Dr. Joe. That's funny that you mentioned Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe did not like me. I never really had anything against Dr. Joe. He was not my style. Um, and I don't think I was his style either. And last I'd heard of Dr. Joe is that really sad news. I heard that Dr. Joe had passed away. I don't know if that's true. That could just be a rumor. But if you get on his YouTube channel, there's a lot of comments about that, people saying he passed away. Um, so I hope that's not true. Like I said, he and we didn't really see eye to eye on our philosophy regarding cigars, I don't think. Um, Although who knows? On social media, it's so hard to interpret text or anything else. But you know, Dr. Joe, um, yeah, his reviews just they didn't really do it for me. But hopefully he didn't die. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of sad. I hope that's not the case. I think my wife's home. I'm doing a live webcast. All right. Yeah, I'll come in. I'll come in a little bit. I am not on Instagram. I was on Instagram for a while, for a few years. I deleted my Instagram account a few months ago. I don't know how long ago it was, but yeah. Let's see. Oh, Mitch Rogers says he didn't pass. He had to give it up due to health. I hope that's true, Mitch. Although, I guess, it's too bad if he had to give up cigars. But if that's what you have to do to, live, I guess that's what you got to do. That's a shame, but certainly better than the alternative, which the other rumor is that he passed away. So either way, I wish him all the best. Yeah, I'm with you, Jason. Oh, Mitch is still saying he's not dead. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he is or not, but I find it interesting that I've never been. So Mitch is familiar with the Dr. Joe saga. Like I said, nothing against Dr. Joe. I think he got a lot of people into cigars, and I think he gave a lot of people a lot of information. But the long form encyclopedic stuff on Cuban cigars just wasn't really up my alley. Um, and there was some stuff earlier on in his catalog that I didn't agree with, like because he worked in a high-end cigar shop in New York, and I know he had done early before he started, not even been around the time or before he was doing Fake or Fine, before he was really doing his big series. He had posted some videos, and one was on humidors, and I remember he was showing that unless I think he was answering like emails or something. And the gist of the video was like, unless you can afford, like an LE Blue or a Daniel Marshall humidor, don't even get a humidor because you're not going to be storing your cigars properly. And that, a cheap humidor or a glass top humidor is not going to hold humidity, and you're not going to be storing your cigars properly, and you really need to get an LE Blue. And that really kind of soured me because I don't think that's true at all. You can keep your cigars in Tupperware. You can, and again, a cheap humidor that's well seasoned, and that's kept full is going to maintain humidity. Now, you might lose humidity faster in a cheaper humidor that maybe doesn't have great seals. You might have to, refill your humidification more frequently. But yeah, I don't know. You don't need an LE Blue humidor. Phil says he thinks he had to quit smoking one of his last beers. He mentioned what sounded like a serious sinus issue. Yeah, that can happen. Well, that's the thing too, though. When people say that he died, is that if you get really bad sinus infection, I mean, it can eat into your brain. People do die from sinus infections that way. It's not good. Phil does cooladors. Works better than a humidor. Yeah, that's a lot of people do. I've kicked around the idea that, I've even thought about, I keep thinking about getting a winador. I keep in the summertime. I keep my house at 76 in Tucson, and I think that's okay. As long as you keep your house below 80, I don't think you have to worry about beetles. And anymore, cigars are treated, and I think the risk of beetles is pretty low. I've maintained a humidor for a long time, never had beetles. But I like the idea of temperature control, so you don't have swings. Because again, I think what I worry about more than anything, whether it's humidity or temperature, I think the biggest issue with maintaining your cigars is consistency. If you can, what you don't want are big swings in temperature, big swings in humidity. Um, and so I really like the idea of a really secure temperature controlled environment of a coolador. But I know if I buy a coolador, I'm still going to maintain the 3 humidors I have now. And then I'm going to fill up a coolador. And then instead of having, 300 cigars on hand, I'm going to end up having, 800 cigars on hand. And I just don't need that. If I have extra space, I'm just going to buy more cigars. And my collection will just grow. And I don't need that. I need to smoke what I have. I think, it wasn't 2017. It was in 2016. I tried to go a whole year without buying cigars. And for the most part, I did. Except for when I traveled. When I traveled, I always like to go to a local B&M and see what they have. Because they always have stuff that's not available here. So if I travel, I'll go to a B&M and buy cigars. So in 2016, I think the only cigars I bought were at local B&Ms when I was traveling. See, Mitch says, I did think the way he described your review of the Opus X was pretty bogus. He'd go on unnecessary rants from time to time, but he was informative. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Again, I think one of the big complaints, when Dr. Joe and I got into it in the comments on that was about, he was upset because I was pairing an Opus X with a beverage. And how can I do a review while I'm drinking something other than water? And in case you haven't seen any of my other videos, I've addressed this topic any number of times. For a long time, when I first started smoking cigars, I only paired with water because I felt like that was the best way to experience the cigar. And, as I went further down my cigar journey, and again, hey, everybody's cigars journeys are different. I found that not to be true. And I find that if I really want to experience a cigar, that actually water is a fairly poor choice because it does not cleanse your palate. Water will hydrate you, it'll keep your mouth from being dry, but it won't cleanse your palate. And so, pairing with a beer or a scotch actually will cleanse your palate some to kind of reset. And I find that I'll notice transitions more that way. Whereas, if you're pairing with water, by the time you get to the end of the cigar, you get kind of a nasty mouth, almost like if you've ever smoked a whole cigar without having a beverage, your mouth gets kind of funky by the end, and your flavor profile is all messed up. I find that if I really want to enjoy a cigar, and if I really want to be into just the cigar, the best pairing is like a little bit of lemon water or like a lemon sparkling water, like a lemon LaCroix or something like that. Something with a little bit of citrus. Citrus will really cleanse your palate, make you salivate. Saliva is a really good palate cleanser. And so to me, something with a little bit of citrus is good. But to me, like a scotch or a beer, it does cleanse your palate. And is there potential for, some interference with flavors? Sure, and it can accentuate flavors that might be hard to tell otherwise. But, I really think when you get into that type of discussion, you're splitting hairs. You're smoking a cigar. Um, and there's so much on your palate that could affect that. You know, what you got to eat that day, even what you had to eat the day before, brushing your teeth, what you were drinking beforehand, or whatever else. Like, I don't know. It's just you're really splitting hairs, and unless you have the way that I look at it, unless you have a really shitty palate, um, you should be able to tell the difference between what you're tasting in your beverage and what you're tasting in your cigar. Again, they will bring each other out, but I don't know. It's like if you're pairing a steak with a nice red wine or something, or a nice beer. Like, it's going to make the experience better. And for me, it's about the experience, and I want the experience to be good for me, and I want to share it with you. And if you don't like that, if you feel like because I'm pairing a beverage with my cigars that you're not getting the information that you want, then go to a different channel. I mean, that's fine. Go to a channel where they pair with water. Go listen to Dr. Joe. That's fine. But just this, to me, is how I get the best experience from a cigar. Mitch says, try an Arnold Palmer with a cigar. That's a good idea. I've never done that. That sounds about perfect. Phil drinks LaCroix, if not alcohol or coffee. That's my refrigerator. I've got LaCroix, milk, and beer. Let's see. Phil says, already there, could never fit my cigars in the standard wine and door, and I really don't want to buy a cabinet. Mitch Rodder says, buying an Aristocrat was the best thing I ever did, but a desktop will be fine as long as the seal is decent. Mitch says, pairings will also give you new flavors that the cigar wouldn't necessarily give on its own, but most of the time it's not that serious. Pairings are half the fun. I'm with you. Yeah, it was when my brother-in-law came to visit a few years ago, probably about 5 years ago, and he's a cigar smoker. And I said, I used to only pair cigars with water, and while he was out here, now I always drank scotch. I've been drinking scotch for longer than I've been smoking cigars, and he's also a scotch drinker, and so he was pairing scotch with cigars, and got me a scotch, and so just to go with the flow, I had a scotch with our cigar, and it was a great experience. And really, from that point on, it's like, yeah, pair a beverage with your cigar. It's just a better experience, at least for me. And it doesn't have to be scotch or beer. I mean, you can pair it. A lot of people, I've seen Dr. Pepper is a big cigar pairing beverage. It seems like a lot of people drink Dr. Pepper with their cigar. Phil loves it. Yeah, a good stout is great. For a while, I never paired IPAs with a cigar. If I was going to have a beer with a cigar, it'd be a lager or it would be a stout. And I don't know if I just got used to it or what, but I pair IPAs with cigars now too. But a stout is more of another universal pairing beverage, I think. Like coffee. Like I said before, I think coffee goes great with any cigar. I think a stout beer will go well with just about any cigar. Turbo says bourbon. Another good choice, or rye. I do enjoy a good rye. That Michter's single barrel is really good. Let's see. That Michter's Family Reserve is good. Red wine, coffee, and scotch are my most common, says Mitch. I'll do Arnold Palmer in the summer or an apple cider in the winter. Apple cider, that would be nice. I've done hard cider, but I don't think I've done apple cider. Hard cider is a nice cigar pairing beverage. If you get the right, like a good creamy cigar with a hard cider, it's really nice. But pairing isn't rocket science. Lager. Let's see. Be nice with a hood of Monterey. I agree. I think a hard cider with with a Hoy de Monterey would be nice. Hmm. Yeah, to me that's half the fun. I find the best way that I find to pair a cigar is this is what I always recommend to people. No, not I always say light your pick the cigar you want to smoke. So that's where I start. So if I'm gonna smoke a cigar, the very first thing I do is I grab a cigar, whatever piques my fancy that night that I feel like I want to smoke, and I go ahead and I light it without having a beverage, and I smoke for a couple minutes, and then I go back inside and I figure out what I want to pair it with, be that rum or scotch or bourbon or rye, a LaCroix, a beer, but you kind of know you know, this cigar is going to taste good with, whatever beverage I have. You go in and then pick the beverage to match. Um, unless you're familiar with the cigar. If it's a cigar you've had a number of times, or if it's something you're pretty sure you know what it's going to be like, you can pick in advance. Jason is not a big believer in pairings himself. He loves bourbon and he loves cigars, but he's never said to himself, "Hey, this cigar sucks, but I bet it'd be great if I were drinking Foster's." Or Forester's Reserve, not Foster's. um, well, yeah. I mean, no, a cigar that sucks isn't going to be made better by a pairing, that's for sure. But a good cigar can be made better by a pairing, and that's what I would say about pairings. Is if you find a cigar you like, it's going to pretty much pair well with the beverage you like. So, that's all I have to say. But if you don't like pairing, then don't pair. That's it's your cigar. Mitch says a $4 cigar will always be a $4 cigar to a certain extent. I totally agree. Yeah, a pairing is not going to make a bad cigar taste good. It's just not. So if you want to smoke good, if you want a good cigar experience, then buy good cigars. That's really what it comes down to. But if you pair a good cigar, again, if you grab your favorite cigar and have it with your Forester's Reserve, you might be surprised at how much you enjoy that experience together. But maybe not. I don't know. Again, that's up to you. It's a personal experience. Phil says there are some awesome $4 cigars out there. I totally agree. Earlier tonight I had this Christoph San Andres, which I paid $3 for. Yeah, Mitch, start your channel. Do it, man. Definitely. I always tell people that, if you feel like you want to start your channel, do it. And I'll definitely check it out. When you launch it, send me a link. Yeah, make some videos. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Mitch, though, about the $4 cigar. I mean, there is a certain price floor, and it takes, again, I got this Christoph, for $3 because it was an add-on on an online purchase. I got 15 bucks for a 5-pack, and I knew what I was getting because I've had that cigar before. I always warn people not to fall in the traps of the samplers with Cigars International, and certainly not like Thompson. A lot of those samplers have really bad. When you're paying like $2 or $3 a stick, there are some really bad cigars in those samplers. But yeah, but if you know what you're looking for, there's some great cigars. Yeah, that AJ Fernandez New World, that's a great example, Jason. Also, the classic, wonderful cheap cigar is the Genesis the Project. Is a cigar you can get for sub 5. And don't forget the Serie V Lancero. You can generally get for around $5. It's a great cigar. I mean, that's a world-class cigar for $5. You don't have to pay. In my experience, if you're shopping online, you can get world-class cigars, $4 plus. And a lot of time, if you're paying $15, there are a lot of cigars that are $7, $8 that are way better than cigars that are 15, 16. Um, when you get to a certain price level, you're not necessarily getting more cigar. The only Padron might be the exception to that. You get to those expensive Padrones, really nice cigars. It's hard to argue with the quality of those high-priced Padrones sometimes. Yeah, even Cubans in that price range. So one of my favorite Cuban cigars, the milder Cuban cigars, is the Por Larrañaga Panatella. You can get those for like $3 a piece. Uh, they're short fill, but they're a short smoke and they're delicious. They're $3 a piece. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I bought a box of Serie V Robustos a few months ago. I paid, what did I pay? It was a box. I think it was a box of 24. I think you get 24 when you buy the Serie Vs. I think I paid $79, 79 or 89. I don't know what I paid. 79 or 89, 79 or $89 for a box of Serie V Robustos. Yeah. Hey, we got my man from Appalachia. So where are you living at now? Whatnot? I don't even know. I don't know your first name. What? I was just in Appalachia in October. I was down in Weirton, West Virginia, and then I was down in went over and stayed in a cabin for a weekend in the Hocking Hills of Ohio. Mitch, right now I'm finishing up an Oliva Serie V Milanio #4. Oh, you're in Kentucky now, and you're just getting the full experience. I lived in Louisville for 3 years. Really liked it. Let's see, Mitch had a Caldwell. No, I don't think I've ever had the Caldwell Long Live the King. The Hocking Hills are beautiful. Oh man, gorgeous. I actually never been there. I lived in southern Ohio, but I had never been to the Hocking Hills and rented a cabin down in the woods. Oh man, it was gorgeous. It was October, and it was a great cabin. Had a hot tub out back. I just get up in the morning, started a fire, just watching the leaves fall from the trees and having a cigar. It was beautiful. Mitch is a brutal judge. Hey man, keep your standards high. Why not? Tough to make the list, huh? Well, hey, it's always fun to try new stuff. What a quiet night. Got a new, let's see. Mitch says, how many cigars do I smoke a week? It really depends on the week, Mitch. I might smoke one or two, and I might smoke 10. Um, it really depends. In spring and fall, when the weather's nice and it's warm enough to swim, in spring and fall, I'll smoke almost every night of the week. I'll come out on the patio in the evening after I put my daughter to bed and have a cigar. And then on the weekends, depending on what's going on, like if we have people over, or I'm generally out swimming, I could have 3 a day on Saturday and Sunday. So I mean, it really ranges. You know, and then sometimes, like I said, I usually smoke at least 2 a week. Um, Probably more like 3 or 4 in most weeks. Because I usually smoke. I mean, on the weekends, I'll definitely smoke one on Saturday and one on Sunday, and then you know 1 or 2 nights a week on weeknights. That's probably average, I would say. So probably 3 or 4 a week is probably average, but like I said, it'll really range between like 1 and 10. And on occasion, maybe even more. If I'm on vacation or something, I can smoke 3 a day for a week, on vacation. Um, but the nice thing about cigars is, I don't think they're addictive. I'm not addicted to cigars, and so if I feel like I'm getting a cold, I won't smoke. And so there'll be times like if I'm fighting, a cold or feel a little sick, I might go a few weeks without having a cigar. Phil was not a fan of the Eastern Standard, so he's avoided Caldwell. Actually, no, I liked the Eastern Standard. Jason says what he loves about living in the South is that most men have a reasonable opinion about whiskey and cigars. That's good. I had an Antiquidad. It was pretty good. I liked it, and I have. You know what I haven't had yet? I have one in my humidor. I bought a My Father Flor de las Antillas Maduro. I haven't had that. I haven't had that yet. I think I have a couple in my humidor. Mitch hated the Flor de las Antillas. I liked it. Um, but hey, man, we're all different. We've got different palates. Nothing wrong with that. To me, the Flor de las Antillas was another one that's for me was a good cigar for the money. I like that. I like that cigar for the money. Well, I can't believe how late everybody's awake. It's almost 11 o'clock here. It's past midnight where a lot of you guys are, you Tennessee guys. I love the 1922. The Judge. I haven't had the Judge. Well, there's a lot of cigars I need to try. Can't smoke them all, man. There's thousands of cigars out there. Quiet evening, though. Not a lot of stars tonight. A little overcast. Got a new pool heater coming next week. Pool heater broke, so I have a new pool heater. So it's kind of been, it's been broken for a while. It's one of those deals that, it's cold enough that I'm not really swimming, but I like to use the hot tub when it's cold, and so I haven't been using the hot tub. So next week I'm excited, and I'm getting a little bit bigger heater. So the heater I have right now is a 250,000 BTU heater, and I'm moving up to a 400,000. So hopefully it'll heat faster. Well, Tyler, you have to decide what's more important, hanging out or getting sleep. I don't know, man. I like sleep myself, but we love to have you. There's still 9 people on here. That's crazy. Yeah, Mitch, since you said you had the Flor de las Antillas when it first came out, try it again. Anytime a cigar wins Cigar of the Year, man, they crank up the manufacturing on that. I think the quality control goes down. Cigar shops are selling, they're just flying off the shelves. So as soon as they come off the truck, they're putting it on in the humidor, and That's one thing to find out with your cigar shops, is if they rest their cigars before they put them in the humidor, because that is, to me, that's a big issue. I think a good cigar lounge should rest their cigars for a couple weeks before they put them out in the humidor. And when a cigar wins Cigar of the Year, they don't want to do that because they know they're going to sell a bunch of them. So they get them delivered, and as soon as they're delivered, they put them on the shelf, and then they sell them. And usually those cigars ship soggy. I mean, they are over humidified, leaving the factory, and they get to the cigar shop over humidified and not rested, and they sell them, and they're not in good smoking shape. 24-hour cigar bar. There are 24-hour cigar bars. There are kind of like those gyms. I'm trying to think what city. I think there's some in Phoenix. Kind of like the gyms where you have the radio tag and you just beep the door and you go in and work out. They're kind of like glorified hotel workout facilities. There's cigar lounges like that, like private lounges, where you can keep a locker, a humidified locker, and you can come in 24 hours a day whenever you want. You can go into the lounge and smoke cigars, and then they might have business hours where they come in and sell cigars during the day, but there are 24-hour lounges. Mitch has got high standards apparently. That's nothing wrong with that. Coming down to the wire here on my Milano. I remember when this cigar came out. Was it? Yeah, this was, well, the Torpedo was a cigar of the year, the Milano. But I love the number four. I keep number fours. I buy number fours and I buy Robustos. I don't buy boxes of like the Churchills or the Torpedoes, just because they're too big. I find that I generally don't have that much time to smoke. Now, Mitch, since you say they don't have to be expensive, just made well and flavorful. Mitch, have you had the Genesis the Project, Mitch? Ooh, Cigar Page. That's a new one. I haven't heard of that. Thank you. I need to check that out. Free shipping. Hmm. Cigar Page. Huh. Yeah, check that out. No kidding. Better than Holt. So I will check that out. Thank you. That's all I need to go buy more cigars. Yeah, I've aged Opus X. I smoked a 10-year-old Opus X number 5 that was sent to me by what's his name? Guy out in California who I was on a live webcast with the Calypso Cigar View podcast. I kind of gave my opinions about Opus X, and he said, "Oh, you need to have them really well aged." And he sent me an Opus that had been aged for 10 years, and it was a good cigar, but not amazing. The Guardian of the Farm by Warped. No, I have not tried that one. Now, there's a lot of cigars I haven't tried. I need to, but like I said, lately I've been sticking with my favorites for whatever reason. I guess this is a prime example. But it goes to show, like I said, I've smoked boxes and boxes of this Melanio #4, and I still see myself just nubbing them out. I agree, Mitch. It's a unicorn. People love them, but I think I didn't fall into that trap because if you're ever in Tucson, Jerry's Fine Cigars in Tucson buys so much Fuente stuff. They always have Opus in stock, and they sell it at MSRP. So I've had lots of Opus, and so to me, it's not special, and it's not worth the price. Bring a coat if you go to Milwaukee. That's good advice. Don Ronaldo. I've never even heard of Don Ronaldo. Hmm. Well, glad I'm on here. A lot of suggestions on what I need to be looking for. Oh, the humidors are packed full right now. Yeah, I haven't had the Nicaragua and the Diadema Vitola, but I've had the Davidoff Nicaragua and Robusto, and I know I had Robusto. I feel like I had the Toro also. I know it was in Tubo. Um, I want to say I had the Robusto. It was good. I haven't had that Tatuaje. I just don't know if I have time to smoke a Diadema. Occasionally, in a sampler, I'll get a Series V in Diadema. That's a nice Oliva cigar. Well, everybody, it has been 2.5 hours, and I'm starting to burn my fingers on this Melanio #4. So I think I'm gonna call tonight. But I really appreciate you guys coming out. It's this was a lot of fun. This is my first webcast. I had a lot of fun, and it is bedtime for me. So thank you again for stopping by. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun with the comments. Really enjoyed this. So thank you. Thank you for tonight. This was a lot of fun. And hopefully we can do it again. Maybe next week. Maybe we'll do it again. Try to get something going here. Maybe try to do it more frequently. But thank you. I had a lot of fun tonight. So it was good talking to everybody. And take care, everybody. Have a wonderful night and enjoy your weekends. All right. Yeah. Have a good one. See if I can end this thing. I get all confused now. Figuring out how to use this. All right. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks.